Hello, I am Earl Nestor Velasquez, and today I'm going to present to you my Arduino prototype. In this prototype, I will demonstrate the sequence and the truth table of the 3 inputs and 3 outputs that I have chosen. The 3 inputs are 3 push buttons, and the 3 outputs are 3 LEDs. The objective of the project is to demonstrate different results from different input. This video will show the code that is used, as well as the inputs and outputs that have been set. Just as we mentioned before, we have 3 inputs and 3 outputs. The 3 inputs are 3 push buttons, and our 3 outputs are 3 LEDs. For our first condition, when all buttons or inputs are unpressed or in a logic 0 state, our outputs or relays are in a logic 1 state, which means they are all turned on. Next, when button 1 and button 2 is in a logic 0 state and button 3 is in a logic 1 state, our output will produce the LED in a logic 1 state. Next, if button 1 and button 3 is in a logic 0 state and button 2 is in a logic 1 state, all relays will turn on. Moving on to the next, if the first button is in a logic 0 state and button 2 and 3 is in a logic 1 state, all relays will essentially turn off. Next, if button 1 is in a logic 1 state and button 2 and 3 is in a logic 0 state, the first relay or the first LED will turn on. If the first and third button are in a logic 1 state and the second button is in a logic 0 state, the second LED will turn on. Moving on, if the first and second is in a logic 1 state and the third button is in a logic 0 state, all relays are turned on. For the last part, if all buttons are in a logic 1 state, all relays will turn off. First, let me explain the rules of each code in generating the desired output. As you can see from the first part, the const keyword means constant. It is a variable qualifier that modifies the behavior of the variable, making the variable read-only. This means that the variable can be used just as any other variable of its type, but its value cannot be changed. Otherwise, a compile error will show if you try to assign a value to the const variable. Therefore, the code const int button pin is where the button is attached to, and the const int relay pin is where the LED are attached to. The next part are the changing variables or the state change detection variables. This is where we know when the input has changed from one state to another. It tells us whether the button is on or off. Thus, the int button state is equals to 0 means that this is the current state of the variable. Following the previous is the void setup, where the code that we want will run one time as soon as the program starts running. We set the pin mode here and assign which is the input and the output, which in this case, our input is the push buttons and our output are the LEDs. Serial.begin 9600 passes the value 9600 to the speed parameter. This tells the Arduino to get ready to exchange messages with the serial monitor at the data rate of 9600 bits per second. After creating the setup, which initializes and sets the initial values, the loop function does precisely what its name suggests and loops consecutively, allowing the program to change and respond. Now, let us run the program. We assign 0, 6, 0, 7, 0, 8 as the variables for the inputs. And we assign 14, 15, 16 for the variables of the outputs. Just as I said before, pressing all buttons will turn off all LEDs. Pressing button 1 and 3 will turn on LED 2. Pressing button 1 will essentially turn on LED 1. Then, by pressing button 2, all LEDs will turn on. And pressing button 3 will essentially turn on LED 3. Pressing button 1 and 2 will activate all LEDs, while pressing 2 and 3 will deactivate all LEDs. The next pictures that you'll be seeing are the codes that is needed to generate the desired sequence. The next pictures are the materials that have been bought, including the Arduino Uno. As you have seen from the simulation follows the sequence and the truth table that I have set. Thus, this is where I conclude the project. Once again, I am Earl Nestor Velasquez of B12. Thank you for watching.